YouTube has its own go live button, by the way,
I know.
as opposed to just YouTube. Hello, everybody. We actually got everything working now. I hope everyone's having a wonderful day. We're doing kind of the pre-show right now, where everyone kind of like filters in, coming into the car with us today. Of course, I'm in my baby blue, Nintendo Drive T-shirt, representing all the shows. I talked about it before. Court's got his limited edition Carpool Gaming shirt as well going on. But and of course it's Court today as opposed to Sean, by the way. So welcome to the show, Court. I hope you're having a good day, my friend.
I'm good. Sean is indisposed out in somewhere in Canada, in the mountains.
Yeah, he's somewhere else, but actually like not super far away, because like when he was telling me he was going to Nashville, Tennessee, it was just like that's like on the other side of the continent for him essentially, whereas like where he is now, much closer than that.
I said that to him, yes. I was talking to him this morning, and I asked him why he was up so early, considering the time difference of where he is. I was like, you realize you're texting me, and it's 8:03 a.m. here, where I am.
Yeah. I mean, to be fair, that's only like an hour difference between where he normally is, Court, so it's not really that different anyways.
According to Kevin, and he is correct, the title is Halo Infinite Season 2 Roadmap. The Xbox Drive 239. He says it's the same as last week.
I will go.
Thank you for catching that, Kevin.
Thank you.
It's okay. I was fired earlier today as a social media manager, so we're
fired. How the heck do you get fired?
Because I put up 11 p.m. instead of 11 a.m.
All I did was give you a slight correction on that, Court. I didn't fire you.
Yes, no, I know. But that's my second fender bender in like 2 weeks, so I guess I'm out.
I mean, we wouldn't be doing a great job at this if we didn't do a fender bender every once in a while.
Sean is beefed up today. Actually, I didn't even hit the gym today. Sean did though. Son of a gun. Ever since the whole COVID thing, I'm having some issues at the gym.
Oh no.
It's just I can't stop coughing, and I don't have it anymore. It's just. How about those Flames, Ryan Turford? You know what, Marcus? I hope the Flames go to the finals. Not gonna lie. I mean, God, yeah. I think it would be awesome for the country.
If there's one Canadian team we hope makes it, Court, it's definitely not them, and definitely them and not Toronto. That's for sure.
I would go Calgary, Edmonton.
Yeah.
Everybody else, then Toronto is my list.
Yeah. Even
Toronto
me,
Maple Leaf fan base is.
I'm not a Boston Bruins fan, Court. Everyone knows that about me, but at the same time. Yes. I would rather see the Boston Bruins make it versus the Leafs. I'm sorry.
I agree. Unfortunately, the Bruins this year are probably not going to get out of the first round. They're not even favored. It's more funny. I know it's not a hockey show, but you brought it up. So like today on the radio, I'm listening to Toronto media keep talking how Toronto is the underdog in a series where they have the more points and they were favored. I'm so confused on how many times they want to play this card that Toronto was the underdog against Tampa when Toronto was favored in Vegas odds. Toronto was favored by all the pundits, and Toronto should win the series. It's like they're setting themselves up to fail if they don't make it past the Tampa Bay Lightning. But anyways, that's hockey talk, and we're talking about Xbox here. Yeah. Mind you, there is a hockey game coming to Game Pass, so we can talk about that after.
Absolutely. So what we're going to do...
Transition, that one. Whoa.
Well, speaking of transitions, Court, we should probably get this show on the road. So I'm going to hit the button, and we're going to be quiet while the intro plays, and we'll be right back, folks.
No power greater than X.
What's up, everybody? Welcome to the 239th episode of the Xbox Drive. We never usually intro it this way because usually Sean's streaming at the camera. There's also crazy stuff going on, but Sean's not here today, unfortunately. You're stuck with myself, Ryan Turford, the man on the moose, but I'm joined by a very special guest today, the Dark Knight of Xbox himself. Court Lalonde is here. Court, how are you doing today, buddy?
I'm good. I even thought about to do the intro for you and be like, bah, and do the whole thing. But it would hurt, man. Yeah. I tried it once. It hurts. I don't know how he does it. I don't.
Yeah, it's definitely not a natural thing for anyone but Sean to do.
Yeah.
And we usually try and respect that when Sean's not here anyways. Or at least I've tried to do the ball before. I did that for the first 10 episodes of the PlayStation Drive, and we both came to the agreement. We're like, yeah, it's not the same if it's not Sean.
No, it's not. I tried even doing it. For the PlayStation Drive, I do the questions, and he did the spinning thing, and I was like, I should try and copy him that day. And I spun twice, and I'm like, this old man can't do that. I need to throw up now. I'm just old, but I feel fine. I'm recovering from COVID, but I'm good. I got like this whole phlegmy thing going on that won't go away. So I will mute my mic if I need to cough, but I feel fine, and the weather is beautiful, eh, Ryan? It is beautiful.
Yeah.
Like, this is the first time you and I can talk about the weather, and it's the same.
It's true. It's true. Because I can just look outside and it's like, oh, that's the same weather that Court's dealing with. Although,
There you
actually,
go.
since we live on like opposite sides of the city, there's a possibility that there's a slight discrepancy in the weather, I guess. Like, I might get rain before you or something.
During the winter, I would say 100%. You could be, hey, I'm outside and I don't have a jacket on, and I'm like, wow, I just shoveled my driveway for the second time today, so yay.
Yeah, I mean, I don't have a driveway to shovel, which is just, I've just got the best of both worlds here anyways, Court. But anyways, this is the Xbox Drive where we talk about Xbox all the time, except for apparently right now. So folks at home, if you want to support the show, there's a number of ways to do that. Number one, if you're watching on the live stream right now, go ahead and click that like button on the video if you like what we're doing. Also, make sure to hit that subscribe button if you haven't subscribed already to the channel. Maybe also leave a comment below and tell us, what you're excited about from the Xbox showcase or about any of the other stories that we're talking about today. Just like Zero Skill, who left a comment on last week's video that we wanted to quickly highlight here. Zero Skill says, I have to jump in on the Microsoft rewards topic. As of right now, my lifetime points are 573,284 points.
Ow.
That's a lot of points. Typical conversion is about 1,000 points to $1, although there are level bonuses at $5, $10, $25, and $50. I knocked off $225 off my purchase of my Series X. I'm back up to 86K after some game purchases, and I'm saving up for a 1 terabyte memory expansion. God, that's ridiculous.
Yeah, I thought I was crazy because I literally every day do open up my my browser and I get my points every day. I open up a couple games on Game Pass just to get the pops. I do all the stuff. I redeemed my money for the very first time. I still have, I think, like I look at it as a dollar amount. I still got just about $200 left that I can use. But for the very first time, I redeemed Microsoft points to buy packs in MLB The Show.
Of course you did, Court.
Hey, it was free. I looked at it as a free thing. I was like,
yeah,
I'm not actually technically spending money, so I was like, why don't I give it a try and open up a bunch of packs, and it was fun for me.
You're spending fun money essentially because you're spending
exactly
money essentially. For me, I always I never accumulate that much in rewards because I usually end up using it over the course of time because I usually just end up using it for discounts on games as opposed to buying a game outright with rewards anyways. But man, Zero Skill, that's pretty impressive. That's a lot of points. You must have been saving them forever. Although, again, I imagine that if not enough people actually know about rewards points, there's probably people out there, Court, that have bought enough digital games and never redeemed points because they don't know they're there, that they're probably just sitting on 300,000 to 400,000 points and they don't even know.
That is a very good point, especially if you're like, the Xbox One generation, if you actually still stayed for it and you bought all those games, like that's wow, that's a lot of games, a lot of points, and all you have to do is just log in and it'll all be there.
Yeah, exactly. Or you just got to install the rewards app anyways and just look at it. So
yeah, I have it on my console, I got it on my phone. I literally maximize my points every day. It takes I call it 5 minutes of pain.
Yeah, for sure. Well, besides the YouTube stuff, if you want to support the show, you can also check us out on your podcast feed of choice. We're on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spotify, pretty much all the places to find podcasts. And make sure to hit the subscribe button there. Also, if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts, we have an extra job for you. If you choose to accept it, obviously go and leave a rating if you're on Spotify. Maybe even the 5-star variety, just saying. Or, leave an Apple Podcast review as well. Next up, if you want the show a little bit early on the audio feeds, head on over to Patreon. Patreon.com/carpoolgaming is how you do that. Throw a little tip in the old tip jar and out comes content, including some exclusive stuff that we're going to have on there soon, which I'm pretty excited about. And then, speaking of the YouTubes, Court, I don't know if you knew this. Maybe you probably did. But this weekend, we are doing a 1,000 subscriber celebration this weekend. So Sean and I will actually be hopping on stream on Saturday, May 7th at 10 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on this channel, youtube.com/carpoolgaming. We'll have announcements. We're going to have giveaways. It's going to be a fun time, my friend.
I'm actually available now. The thing I had to go do has been canceled due to COVID.
Well, I guess.
I mean, that sounds terrible.
I
but
guess special announcement. I guess Court Lalonde might actually be there too.
I will be here now. It's only it looks like it's gonna be a fun show. We got lots of prizes and lots of huge announcements. It's like it's Sean. He just loves announcing things.
Of
Who are we
course.
kidding?
I mean, to be fair, I've got a couple of my own announcements too, Court.
Yes.
So, I mean, it's not even. You can't just blame this on
if you're not wearing the props though, I'm gonna be disappointed.
I don't have the props yet.
Ah, son of a gun.
They'll be here soon.
Okay.
And then last but not least, if you're watching on the video and you notice that we're wearing some cool t-shirts and you like these t-shirts, we have a merch store now for Carpool Gaming. Head over to the link in the description of this video or the show notes if you're listening on audio feeds. If you want to pick up your own shirt, we have shirts for all of our shows, including the Xbox Drive one, which I wore on last week's show. So if you want to see what that looks like, go watch last week's episode. But I'm just trying to show off the different shirts, which is why I'm wearing a Nintendo Drive t-shirt this week.
Yeah, you did definitely. Ryan bought every single one. I won't lie. I bought the PlayStation Drive one, the show I'm on.
Yeah.
And I bought the Carpool Gaming, but I did buy like that hoodie, and that hoodie has been getting compliments. I have people that have no clue. I was at the grocery store, and the person was like, "I really like that hoodie." I'm like, "Go buy it." And I gave him the link.
That's awesome. That's marketing at work. That's how we know you're the social media manager, Court.
Oh, wow. Okay. Wow.
I mean, you've been rehired.
Oh, wow. Rehired.
My God. Well, anyways, without further ado, with all that out of the way, let's grab our 8 tracks, pop them in. It is time for the playlist. And we played some games this week. Well, maybe we did. Court, did you play anything? I know that you were a little bit under the weather, but...
I am addictively playing about 3 to 4 hours a day of MLB The Show.
Of course you are.
It is crazy. I have never played a video game this much. I play it on my Xbox here in my office, and at night I'll pop in an hours of time on my PlayStation. It's seamless. I have also re-downloaded and tried to play today, but I ended up having to do a call for work. I am going to jump in and try Lone Wolf on Halo Season 2. Yes. I think it deserves my time to come back. I'm hearing great things from a lot of people on the social media there that people are really enjoying it. So I'm really hoping it can bring back that vibe, that feeling I had now it's no longer about when me, you, and Sean all got to play the game before, and we were enjoying the gameplay. And then when we finally got to play the multiplayer, I was like, wow, this is amazing. It was just, there was nothing to bring me back. I felt it wasn't there. So I'm really hoping that, because the gameplay is top notch, that I really enjoy this mode and I play a lot of Halo. That's my hope.
Yeah. I mean, there's multiple modes too, but the one big one that everyone's talking about, I'm actually going to talk about in a second because I've actually had a chance to play it. But,
nice.
Yeah, I'm excited to hear what you think about that when you actually decide to sit down and play it. Maybe this allows us to revive Halo Saturdays. Who knows?
I hope so.
Because they quickly got converted to Mario Kart Saturdays or Wii Sports or
Wii Sports is Saturdays. Really awesome.
Yeah, I haven't played it yet.
Yeah,
but
it's so good.
Whereas for me, before I get to Halo, real quick, I want to bring up that just most of my week actually wasn't playing Halo. I was actually just in a retro mood all week, so I've been playing a ton of retro games pretty much the whole week. I'm kind of like in this retro phase at the moment, Court, where I was watching like a lot of 80s and 90s movies this week. I was listening to a lot of music from the 80s while doing work and stuff like that. And then I was playing a lot of 80s and 90s video games. I beat Sonic 2, I beat Castlevania, I beat Mario 3, I beat Ninja Gaiden on the NES just for fun. So
so hold on. Let's backtrack. You beat Ninja Gaiden on the NES just for fun.
I mean, I've beaten that game
for the
like
listeners and the
times.
viewers. That game is very hard.
Yeah.
Very, very, very hard. You just beat it for fun.
Yeah. I mean, it's not as bad as Ninja Gaiden 3 on the NES. Because that game doesn't have unlimited continues. So if you lose your 3 lives, the game's over. And that game is just as hard as the first game.
I see all those people saying, "Oh, Bloodborne's hard, Dark Souls hard, all those games," and then I think back to the days of the game you just played, or a game like Ghosts and Goblins, and I'm like, yeah those games aren't hard. The NES games are very hard.
Well, I would actually argue that a game like Ninja Gaiden Black on the original Xbox, especially if you play it on the harder difficulties, is a harder game than Bloodborne. Especially because I beat the game Court on Master Ninja difficulty, which is the hardest difficulty in the game, and that in my time of playing Bloodborne, and that it's like way harder than Bloodborne.
So when I loved Ninja Gaiden, like when Ninja Gaiden first came out on the NES, it was like that game that everybody wanted to play, and it was just like who can. It's funny when you play these games; they're only like 4 hours actually to beat. But back in the day, we died all the time, and there's no continues. You just keep going, and it was just see how many levels you could get through. And I remember when Black came out on the Xbox. And I'm like, oh, my childhood memories. And then I'm like, wanting to throw my controller because the game beat the living daylights out of me. I'm like, oh my God, these games are hard.
Well, I mean, those are your childhood memories of Ninja Gaiden coming back, Court. And the best part is, too, in the original Ninja Gaiden for Xbox, not the Black version, you could actually unlock the original trilogy of NES games to play in the game if you collect all the gold scarabs. And so then you can relive your childhood memories of Ninja Gaiden in Ninja Gaiden, essentially, which is pretty cool. It's a game
I was so much better at video games when I was younger. Wow, I suck now.
Yeah. But, you know, I wanted to talk about that because I was also playing Castlevania Circle of the Moon on Xbox this week, which is the Game Boy Advance Castlevania game, the first one in the Advance Collection. I'm really enjoying it again. It's a game that I've like picked up and put down a million times, but I've never finished. And that's kind of the game I'm sinking my teeth to do now as we kind of wait for games, because like May is kind of like a slow month for games. So I've been playing a lot of retro stuff because I'm kind of just in the mood for that type of game. But as I mentioned, I did play Halo Infinite Season 2 Lone Wolves, the last Spartan standing mode. I played it for about an hour last night after work, Court. Played a whole bunch of games of it, and honestly, I had a great time with it. I don't know if it's going to be, you know, the savior of Halo, because first of all, for folks that don't know what this mode is, it's a 12-player free-for-all mode where basically it's kind of
a baby
like
battle royale,
but it's not really.
It's a baby battle royale.
I would actually say it's not a battle royale mode. It's more like a survival mode. Like it's closer to something like zombie mode from the other Halo games versus a battle royale game where, yes, don't get me wrong, like a battle royale, in theory, it's a free-for-all where you're fighting to the death and, you know, being the last one standing. Technically, that is what you're doing in this, but it doesn't feel like that's what you're doing here, because it's not all about, you know, hiding or being kind of sneaky in a lot of ways. It actually really rewards you for being aggressive in a lot of ways, because unlike battle royale games or a lot of modern battle royale games, you're not going around the map looking for weapons and stuff like that, or stockpiling items to kill your enemies with. You actually don't have any weapon pickups on the map itself. Essentially, as you kill enemies, you will earn XP, and that XP will be used to level up your Spartan and unlock a new weapon for each level that you do, essentially.
So they're actually giving you XP for killing people instead of weird challenges?
No. The XP is only in the match
thing.
Itself. It doesn't it doesn't translate outside the match itself.
Oof.
So
see, that's my thing with Halo. I just fix the XP.
Well, no, I mean the XP system's still there, but yeah, and it's still the same as before. But no. So the XP that you earn in the game, essentially, as you like. So for example, when you hit level 2, because you start basically with 2 different pistols, essentially, when you start with.
Okay.
But then when you hit level 2, you get kind of this brute shot, like the pistol that's almost like the Magnum, essentially. And then from there, when you hit level 3, you get a different gun, and so on and so forth. And that's kind of how you progress. So as you're going around this larger map, the map itself is about a little bit smaller than kind of the big team battle maps in a lot of ways. As you see people on the map that have better weapons than you, those are the players you know to kind of stay away from, because they, you know, obviously have killed more people than you if they've, you know, stockpiled the better weapons. But yeah, it really rewards you being aggressive, because if you are kind of just hiding in the shadows the whole time, you're not killing enough players to accumulate all the guns you're going to need to be able to basically, you know, come out on top, essentially. Because like your pistol, if you just have the pistols at level 1 and you're up against the other last Spartan and they have like a sniper rifle and a battle rifle, you're screwed. Like there's no way you're going to win that match.
Fair enough. I've also heard that on the big team battle, the loot caves now have like special weapons, and like there's a Clippy from Windows 98. There's a gun with him on it. Like I've heard I also heard that they're going to be adding like, you know, skins to your Spartans. Like I have a funny feeling season 3 will be its comeback. Unfortunately, because season 2 is lasting 6 months. But I'm excited to jump in. From what you're saying, it sounds like it's fun.
Yeah.
It's that XP grind that's like not rewarding at all.
No, and that's why like I made the mistake of buying the battle pass for season
Same.
1. I'm not buying it for season 2 at this point. I'm just like I will take whatever free stuff they throw at me, and then I'm just gonna deal with that because I mean, to be fair, I'm not someone who really cares about the Halo cosmetics anyways. I just like playing the game because it's fun, essentially.
But if you could dress up your player as other, like if you could put banjo on your gun, or like if they do fun stuff like that, I truly think you're gonna get people in. Like if you can be Marcus Phoenix, or you could, you know what I mean? There's endless possibilities there.
Well, let me tell you something, Court. If they offered you the ability to put Banjo-Kazooie in your gun, I would never take that option ever. I mean, I to be fair, I just don't really like Banjo that much. So
That's fine. It's fine.
my god. But yeah, it's a lot of fun. I don't know if it's gonna. Time will tell if it's gonna kind of be a mode that sticks, because we do know that again the season's going on for a long time, and I don't know when they're going to add more content beyond this to the season. I know that there's supposed to be kind of incremental things throughout the season, and we do know that co-op campaign for online is supposed to be coming in late August. So hopefully there will be an update there. That'll be cool. But for me, like I for right now, I'm excited about this mode. I think it's pretty cool. But we'll see how long it lasts, anyways. But I definitely want us to do like a Halo Saturday playing this mode, because I think it'd be a lot of fun. So.
I think so too. And a question for you: do you think? And I know we're going to talk about the showcase later, but do you think they talk about maybe giving us a roadmap?
Like I mean, they already kind of gave us.
Well, no, I mean like an actual roadmap. It's like, okay, here's the dates, here's what's coming, or give us like a hint. Hey, here's how we're going to be fixing the XP, because they keep saying it. Saying it and showing are two different things.
If they do it at all, it won't be at the showcase. I tell you that right now. It will be a Halo Waypoint post on some day if they decide to do that. But yeah, I don't think that they're going to talk about it just yet. I don't think they're ready to talk about any of that stuff yet, to be honest, because by the sounds of it, it doesn't even sound like they know the dates.
It's almost like the game wasn't ready and shouldn't have came out. But hey, it did.
I'm just shaking my head at you, but
That's
I will.
Fine.
But yeah, we'll talk about the showcase in just a second. But I do think that with Halo, I think we'll have dates for that stuff soon, probably in the next month or two. But it's just like it'll be its own thing, because I think they'll want to they might even do like a video for it as well, to kind of like give us all the information in like a format that because it'd probably take too long to put in the showcase itself, whereas the showcase we'll probably want to focus more on games itself. The only thing we might see in the showcase from Halo might be like teases for single player DLC or like a single player expansion, because we know that they're supposed to be adding to the single player over time with this game. That's what they announced
Different
as part of
biomes
the 10-year plan of the game essentially. So I still think that's coming out this year. So if we get anything for Halo during the showcase, I think it'll be that. But anyways, let's slam the brakes on this conversation, because it's time for some breaking news. And it was an interesting news week. Not too many stories, but I think the stories we got are pretty interesting. Starting with the aforementioned showcase. So Microsoft has announced the date for the Xbox and Bethesda Games Showcase. It will be live on Sunday, June 12th at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It will be live on Xbox's socials and YouTube and Twitch channels. And it's also probably part of Summer Game Fest. I mean, Jeff Keighley hasn't come out and said it yet, but you can count.
Yeah, I have a funny feeling we're gonna get. It won't be just Xbox that weekend. Let's be real here, people. Like Xbox will be on the Sunday.
Nintendo will probably be on the Tuesday.
Yeah, and maybe Sony on the Monday, and have everybody else on like the Saturdays.
The only one I'm not sure about is Sony. Actually, I think that they're probably going to
doing their own thing.
I probably think they're going to probably do what they did last year and just wait till July instead to do.
Makes sense.
And then we already know EA is not doing theirs as well, so who knows?
Yeah, that's the question, right? We can make our predictions on what's going to happen at the showcase, but like what third party? Because none of these third parties are doing something, they're going to have to be at somebody's showcase, right?
Well, you would think EA. We also know that Ubisoft event's coming up soon too. I think it's this month as well. So
yeah, and there's already rumors of the new Assassin's Creed VR game is leaked. They're just rumors, but there are seems to be more than just rumors when there's gameplay footage, but
Yeah.
I wouldn't call it a rumor anymore where we can see what the game looks like.
I mean, that's neither here nor there, Court.
Yes.
Because I mean, we've already seen gameplay footage of Redfall at this point, but who even knows
Yes.
when that game's coming out at this point? But Court, I want a hype check from you. How hyped are you for this showcase? What do you think?
As someone that is a fan of the Xbox ecosystem, I am very hyped because we're gonna see Starfield gameplay. I showing the logo itself just screams it's Starfield gameplay. It's an Xbox logo that looks like the Starfield logo. And it is a typical Bethesda. Many people have been complaining about this, but Bethesda usually waits 6 months before release of a game to show you any of it. They've already debunked that Reset Era post that supposedly was a developer, or was it Discord? I can't remember. Not or Reddit. Someone put a post somewhere and said that they were a developer on the game, and that's already been debunked. To no, they weren't a developer of the game, and no, I am apprehensive that we haven't seen anything. Also, depending on a Bethesda game and the size, there's usually are some bugs, but I do think we're going to see gameplay of this game. I also think we're going to see gameplay of Redfall. I think they haven't delayed it yet, so officially.
Yeah, that's true. They did post
Officially.
on their website that it's coming out in winter as opposed to summer, but they
Yes.
never made like an official announcement or anything. It's just changed on the Xbox website now.
So we're possibly getting that. That could be Xbox's November, December game. But like you already talking about DLC for Halo, that makes me think for sure we're getting Halo in December if we're gonna get it, if we're gonna get DLC, because that window seemed to work very well for Microsoft. That end of the year, and I truly believe we're gonna see Forza Motorsports. Like we're either gonna be told that it's coming out this year, like the rumors suggest, but they're rumors, they're not confirmations. But I think we're gonna see this game. So you're gonna have Xbox have these big games, and I think. My guess is we're going to see some Avowed, because we already know we're going to see Hellblade. Like we'll see gameplay of Hellblade. They'll do a deep dive on Hellblade.
Well, hold on, they haven't announced we're getting anything from Hellblade yet. We don't know for sure 100%.
Well, I know. I'm just.
That's not a for sure thing. That's all I'm throwing.
Yes, Starfield is definitely happening. That's a for sure. I'll stake everything I have that we're seeing Starfield gamelay at this. You don't. The logo just it's Starfield, okay?
I mean, please, we've already seen 3 seconds of gameplay from that game, Court. Remember that they had they teased their trailer a month ago where they were talking about the game, and they showed 3 seconds of walking down a hallway, saw a robot there.
Yes. So, we've already seen Hellblade. We've seen CGI plus gameplay. So I would assume we're going to see. I'm making assumptions here. I would assume we're going to see more of that game. I would assume we're going to see Redfall. Those are your three, probably your best bets. And then, and Motorsports. And then that's still huge. Like, if that's what Xbox shows, that's huge. That'd be a huge show. And then, there's always going to be that one more thing, but I couldn't guess at this moment. I don't think, my personal opinion, I don't think we're going to see anything from the Indiana Jones game. If we're going to see anything from any game, it would be Avowed, just because they've already shown in-game footage of that game. It's the only other one that I could think that they could show, because there's a lot of games on the works. They could pull a Nintendo and say Gears 6 or whatever, but that's about it. Like, you know what I mean? I think we're going to get that huge, oh my God, moment, but we'll see.
Yeah. I mean, for me personally, I'm actually really excited for the event as well. I'm imagining it's going to be a 2-hour event, and with it being a 2-hour event, especially with the way E3 is going this year, where there is no E3 and kind of everyone's kind of scattered all over the place, I actually think there will be more third parties at the showcase than usual. If I'm being perfectly honest, I think that there will be, because there's not going to be a big showcase, or there's not an E3 stage to show a lot of this stuff. So I think people are going to partner with Microsoft or Sony or Nintendo for this, and I think that we're going to see some third-party stuff here that we normally wouldn't see at Xbox's conference. And
do we see a lot of Activision Blizzard?
Maybe. I mean, we might see Call of Duty here, because we know, Modern Warfare 2 is coming. They already showed the logo. Activision hasn't said when they're going to reveal, this game or kind of give us the first trailer for it. It might be here. Who knows? It might be at Sony's State of Play at this point.
Yeah, it could be marketing-wise. They may have no choice, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it just depends. But I think we'll see, because I'm also suspecting that we'll have a AAA third-party game that's day and date on Game Pass this fall, kind of like Back 4 Blood was last year. and whatever that game will be at the showcase. I'm not ready to throw any bets on that yet because the fall is so nebulous at this point where we really just don't have release dates for games at this point yet. But I think we're going to see a game like that there at the showcase. That's going to be day and day.
That piques my interest, and I'll throw a name out there. And these are all speculation because it's fun. It's fun to have this conversation. I'm not going to be like Sean and say Cyberpunk is coming. With the rumors and speculation that they're trying to shop the studios at WB, not the IPs. The IPs would be licensed. People need to understand even if you bought the studios from Rocksteady, you don't get Batman. Could you ever see a world where Gotham Knights is day and date on Game Pass?
Yeah, certainly could. I mean, you could say the same thing about Hogwarts Legacy. I think it could be day and date as well.
That's been marketed with PlayStation. That would be a tough one.
I'm just saying that I'm throwing it out there that I think all bets are on the table when it comes to this stuff, but I don't think it's likely it's going to be one of those games. I think it'll be like more of a middle tier AAA game as opposed to being like
maybe even a Ubisoft game.
Yeah, maybe.
To go along with Ubisoft Plus eventually being able to be purchased on an Xbox, right?
I still think too that's a possibility that when they announced Ubisoft Plus is an Xbox Game Pass perk during the showcase. So that'd be
huge.
That up there as well. But I'm actually in a different line than you, Court, when it comes to Forza, because even though I picked it during our fantasy draft this year because I didn't want to miss it if it does get announced, I actually am in the camp where I actually don't think that game's coming out this year because I actually I think what they're going to do instead is Forza Horizon 5 DLC instead.
Well, I've been waiting for the DLC. I've actually been in shock that we haven't got like a Lego or something.
We just haven't
it's been really weird
of it yet, which is why I think that they're saving that for this fall, and then more Motorsports coming out next year is my.
And then that still gives them the beat, right? Because then they could drop Motorsports in like February or March and still hit that. Wow, that's not a bad idea.
Yeah, Ryan. Not only that too, but it also then will make it so that they don't have to have the next Forza Horizon come out next year to get that Forza beat for next year, because then it gives the team more time to work on Fable, make sure that comes out okay, because we do know that Playground's working on both games. So I think that it makes a lot of sense when you think about it. And especially because we usually hear about the Forza DLC pretty early on in the year. Like they'll usually announce expansion pack 2 during E3 time, because expansion pack 1 is usually come out around E3 time, but they haven't done that at all with Forza this time. So.
And maybe they don't want to do because like Forza had this momentum and Halo just destroyed it. Like it just literally knocked it out of the park. And I still think Forza was the better game. So it's like, it's a weird one. Like maybe they don't want to do that again because they are putting out a game like Starfield that is going to eat up a lot of people's time. And you don't want to put anything else in the way of that if you're them, but maybe you do. It's just EA has proven when you do stuff like that, it doesn't work out well. So I'm hoping they don't do that again. I'm hoping that we're putting out Starfield and nothing else after that, unless it's DLC. DLC makes sense, but don't put out any AAA bangers after Starfield because it's not going to do as well as you think.
Yeah, that's why, again, like if Forza comes out at all, it'll be like late October or like the very first, week of November, essentially. Because Starfield is 11/11, essentially. So it's like...
Yeah, like you can't... would you do that to Forza again? Would you be like, hey, by the way, we're going to drop our biggest game of the year right after yours?
I mean, they just have to do it when it's ready, though. So if it's not ready
in
September, they kind of have to do that. Or, again, delay it till next year. Because I think the Forza expansion route makes more sense this year versus just releasing, Motorsport this year. As much as I'd like to see the Motorsport, reboot this year, I just personally don't. It's not on my radar for this fall, anyways. But we'll see. I know Jeff Grubb disagrees with me, Court. I know not to disagree too much with Jeff Grubb.
Hey, Jeffy Grubb is usually always. It's there are rumors out there when you see them, but when like Jeff Grubb puts out one, you're like, I don't think it's a rumor anymore. In the comment section, I see that someone wants to see Contraband. That could be a game because it is an Xbox and Bethesda showcase. That could be that game, other than Avowed. I'm up in the air on which one you're going to see. I think we're going to see something from a game that we've only seen the trailers. I just say Avowed because they've already shown in-engine gameplay, right? So to me, I'm like, okay, are we going to get more of that game? Because Avowed is actually one of my most anticipated games. Like, it looks unreal.
Yeah, should be fun. I mean, and just to throw it out there, Court, we're going to see a Deathloop trailer here. It's official.
Oh,
Just-
for sure. You're 100% right.
Throw that in the bank right now. It's coming to Xbox in September and Game Pass. So.
Yeah, you're right. That makes sense. And then maybe we might even get Ghostwire Tokyo because we know that's coming to Game Pass too, right?
Yeah, but that won't be until March, so I would imagine they probably wait on that, and because they'll probably end up doing like an Inside Xbox before the year's out to do more announcements for next year, like early next year, and that's what I imagine we see Ghostwire.
So Deathloop originally was supposed to be a PS5 launch, correct? So we would have already had it by now.
Yeah, or it was supposed to be the launch window, so not
Yeah,
necessarily.
so it probably would have been like
March, like the
December,
same time.
January. Okay, yeah. So we'd be getting it probably just now
Yeah, exactly.
on Game Pass.
Just like, Final Fantasy VII Remake was supposed to be on Xbox by now too, but, Sony extended.
Yeah, I don't think that'll ever happen.
I actually think it's going to happen, like, next year.
Do you think that gets announced?
No. Unless it's coming out this year, it will get announced here, but otherwise I think think that's a next year thing.
Do you think we're going to get more this year announcements than anything like, hey, here's what's coming in the future? Because Xbox had that showcase where they were like, here's all these games that are coming out in the future. Mm-hmm. And do you think now because they've ramped the hype up, they can be like, okay, here's the games you're going to get in the next six to 7 months?
I think we're going to not get announcements of new titles that are super far away, except for maybe one or two. But it'll be a lot of, if they talk about games that are far away, it'll be updates on games we already know about.
Do we get a Gears announcement?
No. Because we already know the Coalition is working on a new IP that's supposed to be coming out first.
Oh, you mean the Mandalorian game?
No, they just said a new IP that's coming out sometime before Gears.
The Mandalorian game. We'll see.
I don't believe that. No, I'm pretty sure it's a smaller new IP that's coming out before Gears. So
fair enough.
I mean, I'm taking them at their word because that's what they said.
Yeah, I would take them at their word. That would make more sense.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. It would be cool to see them do a Mandalorian game, but they also said like Gears 6 is like years and years away. So I'm not expecting that game anytime soon. Just like Hellblade, I actually am not in the camp with you, Court. Where I don't actually think we see that game here.
We just saw it though. Like the reason why I'm saying this is because they've already shown gameplay. So like, it's already there. It's already there.
I still don't think we see Hellblade at all in the showcase at all. Because it's like it's not going to be out until next year at the earliest. And even though we saw the gameplay snippet at the Game Awards, I think that's why they're not going to do it. It's because they just showed it at the Game Awards and they want to show
makes sense.
Some of the other stuff that they haven't shown us yet, as opposed to that. Like I think like a game like State of Decay 3, for example, makes more sense than we might see here because we just got the CG trailer before, but then we've literally never seen anything from it since anyways. And we know that, Undead Labs that's the only game they're working on. So like something like that I think is more likely than Hellblade, but we'll see. Anyways, we're going to like when we get closer to the showcase, we'll actually end up doing like a more formal prediction video because I want to make sure that Sean's also here for us to do that.
No one needs Sean for anything. That's okay.
Please, we need Sean on the show. he brings the Diet Coke energy that we need. Court, just like the great one, Wayne Gretzky. Because I love listening to Nintendo Drive yesterday and Sean pointing out, of course, famously that Wayne Gretzky used to drink Diet Coke on the bench as opposed to.
Zdeno Chara for the Boston Bruins did it as well. He didn't drink Diet Coke. He drank regular Coke, but he drank it on the bench all the time.
Jesus, that's
Sean is here. Oh God.
Oh jeez.
Oh jeez.
My God, it's like he knew that we were talking.
Seriously.
Well, anyways, Court, we should probably move on and talk about the Game Pass games that are coming this month. So we got our first May drop of Game Pass games, and I'm going to read through them here, and then I'll ask you what you think about them in just a second. So we're going to start with Loot River, out today on all the things, and then on May 5th, so tomorrow, or if you're listening on audio feeds today that they are listening to this, we got Trek to Yomi and Citizen Sleeper. Trek to Yomi, of course, day and date Game Pass game, which is pretty cool. We'll talk about that one in a second. And then on May 10th, we are getting Danganronpa 2 Goodbye Despair Anniversary Edition. I'm very excited about that one, and I'll talk about that in a second. And then also Ayuden Chronicle Rising on the same date, as well as This War Is Mine Final Cut. And then on May 12th, coming to EA Play. So if you have Game Pass Ultimate, you get this one as well. NHL 12, just in time for the playoffs, Court. You can play NHL
22.
12. Or 22.
22.
Right. NHL 12. That's so long ago. But NHL 22 coming to EA Play May 12th. Well, before I ask for what you think about this, Court, Mike at BlazeKnight0923 on Twitter asked the question, which of the upcoming Game Pass games are you excited for and that you would recommend? So, Court, I know that a lot of these games probably are not Court Lalonde games, but tell me, what do you think about this lineup?
Two games stand out to me. One I own, played a lot of, which is NHL 22. To me, it's if you're a hockey fan, sure, play it. If not, there's nothing. They're not reinventing the wheel here. It's not like MLB The Show where it's this different game. But Trek to Yoma, I'm a huge samurai kung fu movie like I love that stuff. Like when I played Ghost of Tsushima, I did play it in black and white. When that mode came out, it was just I couldn't help myself. It was still that game is one of my favorite games of all time. So I am very excited to play this game. I have tried. I saw the one trailer, and I have now. I'm so excited that I turned everything off. I didn't want to see any more. I just wanted to go into it. I'm not going to read any reviews. I just want to play this game. So for me, that game stands out so big. Like that'll take me away from MLB The Show, which I can't stop playing. I'll just move everything to this game and play it right away.
Yeah, I think Trek to Yomi is definitely like not just in Game Pass, but it's also like one of the biggest games to come out in May, to be honest. Like it's definitely one of the most promising looking games because otherwise, like I think that the May calendar is pretty light because you've got the Ionian Chronicle Rising, which I'll talk about in a second, but then you've also got, the Evil Dead game coming out, in the middle of the month, but otherwise that's pretty much it as far as May games are concerned. So it's cool to see like one of the biggest games coming out this month, even though it's an indie game coming to Game Pass day and date. I think it's going to be pretty sweet to play. So I'm with you. I'm going to be checking this out tomorrow, and I'll talk about it on the show next week, and I hope it's awesome. That's the main thing. But then the other two I'm very excited about here, Ionian Chronicle Rising. I talked about it on the show last week, so this is this is kind of the prequel to Ionian Chronicle 100 Heroes, which is basically the spiritual successor to Suikoden, which was an old Konami RPG series that was awesome a long time ago. They're doing kind of like an action RPG spinoff that was part of their Kickstarter, and it kind of reminds me of like Bloodstained Curse of the Moon, when they had kind of that retro Castlevania inspired version of Bloodstained that came out as part of the Kickstarter before that came out. So I imagine it's kind of the same playbook with this one. I'm very excited about that game. And then, of course, Danganronpa 2 Goodbye Despair Anniversary Edition. I mean, I love the Danganronpa games. I think they're amazing. And Goodbye Despair is my least favorite of the three, but I still think it's an amazing game. If you like visual novels or if you like games like Phoenix Wright, I absolutely encourage you to play this one. It's fantastic. But I obviously play the first one first if you haven't already, because it's also on Game Pass. And I'm just happy to see, Spike Chunsoft, the company who makes these games, which is a Japanese company, like really supporting Game Pass in a big way. They brought AI the Somnium Files earlier this year and Danganronpa. And I imagine they're going to bring V3 at some point, which is the third Danganronpa game, sometime in the next month or two. And then who knows, that they actually have a lot of back catalog stuff that is on PlayStation but not on Xbox. That's really good as well, and I would love to see them start to bring over more of their games. But it's cool to see a Japanese developer kind of throw their hat into Game Pass like this. I think it's cool to see.
I truly think statements that you just made is the reason that Sony is like, all right, we have no choice but to give our Game Pass competitor, because at a time right now where it's dead. Like most people are just playing whatever game. They're either going back in their back catalog or playing that game that they've been playing for months and they went back to it. You hear a lot of people like, oh, I went back to Destiny, or I went back to this. I went back. Like, there's a lot of that going on. And Game Pass gives you that choice. So they're like, hey, there's actually a couple of these new games or these older games that you might not have played. And it keeps Xbox in the conversation. The sales show it. So it's very interesting what a year from now is going to look like when we have the two of them going up against each other. So when we have lulls like this, are we going to be like, PlayStation's like, we're going to drop this game, and Xbox is like, we're going to drop this indie game? It's going to be great for indie studios. I truly think like that's going to be the biggest winner in this when these two titans go head to head.
For sure. I'm just excited to see what's in Sony's lineup too, because it'll be an interesting contrast to what Xbox is doing. And then we can really have a conversation about like what maybe also like what things Sony's doing that maybe Xbox can improve on, and then maybe see kind of how that competition kind of shakes things. But Court, I don't know if you knew this, but games are leaving Game Pass as well, so we gotta talk
that hurts
about
sometimes, man.
I always like to throw these out there just in case, if someone's missed one of these games, they have the chance to check them out. So on May 10th, we are losing Grand Theft Auto San Andreas, the Definitive Edition. That was just added in December, so it essentially lived on Game Pass for 4 months, essentially. Rockstar just kind of does that. But then on May 15th is when the rest of these games are leaving, starting with Enter the Gungeon, Final Fantasy X/10-2 HD Remaster, Remnant from the Ashes, Steep, The Catch, Carp and Course, and The Wild at Heart. All those games are leaving Game Pass, so if you want to play them now, or buy them at the discounted price now, while you still have the opportunity.
I still love that feature. I'm one of the people that bought Control right as it was leaving Game Pass, and I never got around to it. It was one of those games that I missed playing previously, and I ended up getting like the Ultimate Edition instead of what the edition was on Game Pass, and it ended up being one of my favorite games that I've played in the last year.
Nice. Yeah, I mean, for me, like, I don't always take advantage of this because a lot of times what ends up happening is that if the game is leaving Game Pass, I don't. It's usually a situation where I know I'm not going to go back to it, or I've already purchased it at that point. Because I find like the Game Pass discount's good, but sometimes these games actually go on sale for even better sales throughout the year. So I usually like if there's a game that I know will eventually leave Game Pass one day that's not a first party title, and I see it on sale for more than the Game Pass price the discount gives you, then I will always usually snap it up ahead of time. But it's good to know just in case, like if you've never played Final Fantasy X, to make sure to absolutely grab that now, while you still got a discount on it. But anyways, let's move on because Court, there's another big topic that we would be remiss if we didn't talk about this one here.
I feel like I'm going to talk about it twice this week.
I mean, I actually purposely saved it for the thumbnail because I was like, oh, maybe we should do this for the thumbnail, but I left it for the PlayStation Drive because I figured you guys would.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
Just, we got to alley-oop, Anyways, Embracer Group has purchased Eidos, Crystal Dynamics, and Square Enix Montreal, as well as all of the Eidos IP for $300 million US. This includes the IP and back catalog sales for Tomb Raider, Deus Ex, Legacy of Kain, Thief, and many, many more franchises. And of course, Court's favorite franchise of all time, Gex, is officially under Embracer Group's control. Aaron Greenberg actually took to Twitter after this was announced, stating that Crystal Dynamics is still going to continue working on Perfect Dark after this deal goes through, so the Perfect Dark development isn't going to be disrupted by this announcement. And after the deal was made, Square Enix stated in a press release that this will allow the company to focus on their Japanese developed games, because they've talked a while about how they feel like the Japanese developers shouldn't really focus on developing Western style games because they don't feel that it works. But by the way they don't support the North American ones, I guess it doesn't work. Yeah, that's true. But they also said in the press release that it will also help them invest in blockchain games, AI, and the cloud. And we know actually that the Square Enix president, Matsuda-san, has stated multiple times he wants to start making play-to-earn NFT games. So I think that's kind of the
sounds like a winner
of the company.
Yeah.
But Court, I need to know what you think about this announcement. What do you think?
Tomb Raider is one of my favorite franchises of all time. I am just happy that as a gamer who plays on both consoles, that it's not, I can't believe I'm going to say this, that it's not Xbox or Sony that pulled the trigger. I think both of them, because one is purchasing Bungie and one is purchasing Activision, it's just bad timing for them.
Yeah.
Because I think this would be more perfect for Xbox than I would for Sony. Just looking at the Game Pass model, you'd instantly have all the Tomb Raider games, so on and so forth. But that doesn't mean those games might not be coming now, because the Embracer Group, they like money.
Yep.
And they also like making games. And so that's the thing I really like. We could get another Legacy of Kain game. I actually know someone who worked on making some of the older Legacy of Kain games. So that excites me. I enjoyed those games. And Embracer Group takes risks. They bring back old games. They do things. They make a game like Biomutant that, it's a choice, but it was cool. You know what? It was fun. I had some fun with it, and then it went down a different path. But they try out different things. They're not afraid to just be like, okay, here's what we're gonna do. And they get behind their games. As much as I like Square Enix as a publisher, for some of their games, especially their Japanese games, their Western games, they just, I don't know, man. It's like they put it out there and they talk more trash about the game before it comes out and telling you how good the game isn't going to be. And you know that 3 months after the game release, they're going to put out a press release saying how disappointed they are in the game. Like, I don't get it. Guardians of the Galaxy was one of the best games I played last year. And they were disappointed in that game.
Well, when they actually released some of the profit stuff, and because Square Enix in their press release talked about this because I think they knew people were going to ask about it. And they had mentioned when you look at some of the numbers for what they sold versus the profit margin on some of those games, they were like razor thin profit margins, which I think that's where the disappointment for the company came in, was they were disappointed in the sales because I think they spent either too much money on the marketing or too much money on development, and they weren't making back their investment. So I can understand.
They spend a lot of marketing on Guardians of the Galaxy. I felt like they at the beginning, and then we didn't hear about the game, and then it was released. It was just like, whatever, here it is. Like, that game was good.
I'm just saying, like, they didn't really go into like exact detail of like, here's what dollar amount we spent on everything. But when you look at how much they put into Guardians and how much apparently they made back from Guardians, it's like barely anything. So I think that's more a mismanagement of costs on on Square Enix end. I think you're correct about that, Court.
Mm-hmm.
But at the same time,
they also, the bad press they got from Avengers, people were apprehensive about Guardians.
I think that helps as well. But even if you look at like stuff like the Shadow of the Tomb Raider or a lot of their other, Western developed games, they kind of fall into the same camp, which is why I think it's more a tale of how Square Enix kind of mismanaged these IPs. And you're right, Court. I actually am really excited that this is going to Embracer Group because they are willing to take chances on things. They are willing to re-release, older games just to see if that IP actually works and if people are actually interested in playing, a new Kingdoms of Amalur game or a new Blood Rain game or something like that.
I was a huge Kingdom of Amalur fan. I played it again on the PlayStation. As soon as it came to PlayStation Plus, when it was, I was a kid in a candy store. I was like, oh my God, I got to go play this game. And that's the one thing I like. They just go up and buy old IPs and they're like, all right, let's make a game and see what happens.
Yeah.
Right?
They were making a new Time Splitters game.
Seriously,
and that wouldn't have happened if Embracer.
Is Saints Row them too?
Yep.
Is that Embracer Group?
They own,
so there you go.
Koch Media, which owns Deep Silver, which owns Volition.
Yeah. So like it's also funny when Xbox bought Activision, everybody lost their mind, and even when Sony bought, there was this whole thing. And then you look at the piece of the pie that the Embracer Group got, and you're like, so they got a very big chunk of our video games that we play.
It's pretty crazy to think about, but also too, the dollar amount is still crazy to me to look at, like $300 million, which again is a lot of money, but when you compare it to how much Bungie went for, that's like a 1/5 of what Bungie went for. And obviously I know Bungie live service game worth more money I think than this, but it's like even just the merchandise rights to something like Tomb Raider in particular that has movies,
movie rights,
that has toys, that has a lot of stuff that people like to buy outside of just the games. Like, I think the Tomb Raider IP alone is worth that amount of money, let alone everything else that they're getting out of this. So it's like...
But I think the secret sauce was the thing that we don't get to ever hear. Well, we know what would happen, but we don't get to see the dollar amount, is they bought all the debt from their Western studios.
Actually, this was a cash-only deal, and apparently the debt was not included, according to the press release. But
because because an article out of Bloomberg says they bought the debt.
I mean, unless they heard something outside of the press release information. I'm just pulling the information that they posted.
Yeah.
Where the in the press release they mentioned it didn't include any of the debt from the studios. But again, if Bloomberg has that information, I will defer to the experts on that one. I was just going by what I was reading. But at the same time, even if it didn't include the debt, I think again Square Enix takes a deal like this because they look at it as like, hey, we've got some seeding money for, whatever our next big project is that we want to invest in, while also, getting rid of, removing these studios and not having to, pay, pay these employees anymore, or the costs that come into, running these studios. I think that's the investment they look at it.
Bloomberg says video game developer studio Crystal Dynamics, Adios, and Square. Oh, geez, I forgot all about the Adios games. And Square Enix Montreal have been acquired by Embracer Group for $300 million in cash and debt.
So there
The
you go.
deal adds a catalog of video game IPs, including the Tomb Raider, Legacy of Kain, Thief franchise. Thief franchise, I actually enjoyed that game. It was one of those games that came out when there was nothing else to play on the PlayStation 4.
Mm-hmm.
I thought they had a lot of potential.
I mean, I think Thief as a franchise definitely has potential. I don't think that game had potential. I did not like that game.
Oh no,
That's
the first little bit, I just loved. I'm a collectathon guy, so just going to steal things and collecting things.
Yeah.
That was all.
I mean, I'm someone who likes stealth games, so I actually think these games are pretty cool, and that's one that I think you're going to see re-releases of like the older Thief games on modern consoles. I think we're going to see old Legacy of Kain games come back, like Soul Reaver getting a port is a thing that I think will finally gonna happen at some point.
Which is great.
So yeah, I'm excited for all this. I think this is amazing news. And again, of all the third-party companies that could have bought these studios, I actually think that this is the perfect fit. To be honest, like
I truly think.
I'd rather Embracer Group than someone like Tencent coming in or Netflix.
Agreed. I think that's why there was no uproar when this happened. It was like the first time ever someone bought a studio and no gamers were fighting. Everybody was just like, they're going to make this game. They're going to make, like, all anybody thought about was their back catalog. They were like, can we make these games now?
I mean, I kind of felt the same way though when they purchased, Deep Silver and Koch Media as well. Cause like Deep Silver was already kind of that company that liked to take chances on some of that stuff. But then like ever since they became part of Embracer, I feel like they've just taken that to the nth degree essentially. So I'm excited to find this. I think this is great news. So we'll go from there. But yeah, you're right. It's just like, at the same time, it's a little bit of a feel bad because, of course, this is an Xbox show, and it's just like, man, it just especially for that dollar amount.
So
like,
close.
I also know like Microsoft could have done a lot with this stuff too. So
yeah, especially Tomb Raider. I look at Tomb Raider as that would instantly give them their Uncharted, right? Like instantly, they keep saying Xbox is like, we need that third-person adventure game. Well, that literally was there for the taking, but because of and I've asked people in the finance world, technically they could have done it. But because there's money Microsoft has available that they could use that wouldn't affect, but it would affect possibly their deal with Activision because of the all the other stuff that goes on behind the scenes, that it would be frowned upon if they tried to do this other acquisition while they're doing this one. And also, everybody keeps saying that it's going to be June 2023, that the Activision Blizzard fiscal year actually is September till June. Yeah. So it actually can close at any time. It could close in September. Like September, boom. The board has already agreed. Xbox has already agreed on both sides. That's huge. Yeah. So all they have to do is start going through all that legal stuff. It technically could be done in September. I don't think it will be, but technically could be.
Yeah. And it also, like, this tells me though that because we already know that WB has talked about how they're shopping their studios. Ubisoft is mentioned they're shopping. They're looking for a buyer. Like, this tells me that Microsoft isn't in the running for those two companies until the Activision deal is done. Because if they were in the running for those, they would have snapped this deal up right away, probably.
I think Ubisoft would have been done in a heartbeat. Phil Spencer buying Tomb Raider wouldn't even, he would have been like, just drive the dump truck, just make this go away, give me Tomb Raider. Yeah. I also think the Ubisoft, is just a match made in heaven because of the back catalog instantly going into Game Pass. It would be a no-brainer. I'm still confused on Ubisoft announcing Ubisoft Plus is coming, and then we still haven't got it. It's been months, and then there was that conversation that was, I guess, on some sort of chat room, and Ubisoft in Europe was like, yeah, it's coming to Game Pass. They backtracked on that and said it's not coming to Game Pass. I don't think it is, but it could be. It could be one of those things where there could be another deal where Microsoft is like, we need to close this, but we'll do this deal with you, but we need to close this first, because Ubisoft and Microsoft make too much sense.
Yeah. Just
the way Game Pass is set up, Ubisoft makes too much sense.
Yeah. Which is why, again, I don't think it'll be but I think if the Activision deal isn't done this year and it's done next year, Ubisoft is probably going to get snapped up by someone like Tencent
or Amazon. There's rumors even that Embracer Group is doing what they're doing to make themselves look very spicy. In the Bloomberg article I was reading, they were like, don't be surprised if someone like Apple came in and said, all right, we're coming in. Because they've been hinting and keep saying that they're coming into the industry, but they haven't yet, and they're too big not to, right?
For sure. Well, anyways, Court, I had one more topic here, but it was about the Ubisoft, Prince of Persia development. But we should probably get going because we've been going for an hour now. So, and usually we like to keep the show pretty short. So, Court, where can people find you on the internet, my friend?
You can find me on the socials for Carpool Gaming, and you can also find me at Court Lalonde on Twitter. I've got all my links and all those special sauces in there.
Very nice, my friend. As for me, you can find me on Twitter at Ryan Turford. You can find us on Twitter at Carpool Gaming, on YouTube at youtube.com/Carpool Gaming, and on podcast services around the globe. So, for Court Lalonde, I'm Ryan Turford. This has been episode 239 of the Xbox Drive. And we out. Bah!